Go. What are you looking at?
Now, I need the left-hand side equal the right-hand side again. So what do I have on the right-hand side? What is my trig function on the right-hand side? Cotangent. So I need to get rid of what on my left-hand side? Cosecant squared, right? So what do I know? What trigonometry am I going to use? 1 plus cotangent squared is equal to my cosecant squared, right? So every place I see a cosecant, I'm going to replace it with 1 plus the cotangent squared. Why did I put parentheses around it? Because I replaced one term with two terms. Agree? So now I distribute. 2 minus 1 minus the cotangent squared. 2 minus 1 is 1 minus the cotangent squared of x. Done.
Why is this easy when I'm in here? And when I go home, it's really hard.
Because the knowledge we get from this class is very temporary.
Number 9. What's on the right-hand side? Cosine squared of x. Now, we need the left-hand side to turn into cosine. So what should you do? What do you think you would do?
First, you boil it.
FOIL it. Very good. So if I FOIL this, I'm going to have 1 minus the sine squared of x. Why do I have 1 minus the sine squared of x? Because they're conjugates, right? Out and inner cancel out. Now, I need to get rid of that sine squared. What do I know sine squared to be?
1 minus cosine squared. Yeah.
1 minus cosine squared. So I'm going to have 1 minus cosine squared. 1 minus the quantity 1 minus cosine squared. So what do I do now? Distribute. So I have 1 minus 1 plus the cosine squared of x. 1 minus 1 cancels out and left with cosine squared of x.
We have that
I will be giving you guys page 340 in total. Do you understand how to do problems 1 through 9 in your textbook, or 1 through 10 in your textbook so far?
Except for 4. Yeah.
Write everything in terms of sine and cosine. Pull it apart. You have sine squared divided by tangent. Write it horizontally.
Sine divided by sine over cosine.
So I'm going to have sine squared of t times or divided by tangent of t. Well, sine squared of t divided by what is tangent? Sine squared of t over cosine squared of t, and you guys can finish it from there. You divide by fraction. What do you do? Multiply by reciprocal.
Wait, so it does?
You're going to finish that.
Oh. She's been sassy. Who? Who?
Patricia.
He doesn't like the way I have a picture to prove that I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I'm really not. She's not.
I have a picture to prove it.
I clean up poop, so I mean, anyway, everybody go.
Okay, problems 11 through 18. Problems 11 through 18. In exercises 11 through 18, use a graph utility to complete the table. So that's the first thing you have to do is complete the table. And graph the function in the same viewing window. And graph them. Use the table in the graph as evidence that y1 is equal to y2. So what are they telling you? That they will equal each other. In other words, the tables will be exactly the same.
We want.
Do we understand that?
Plug that in it.
Then, it says, then verify the identity algebraically. What in the world does that mean? Guys said you had 3 things to do. So that's the first thing you need to do.
Put it in your calculator.
Graph it. So, if we graph these things,
Weird.
Oh, no, that's on video.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be wondering who you're saying, I love you.
She was talking to me, so that's okay.
Okay, the first function was what? 11. What over secant of x?
Change to X.
1 divided by secant of x
Change to X.
times tan of x.
You have to hit times. Oh,
I wonder.
I'm lost. Do you have to hit times?
No. There's your trig function right there. Okay? Now, hit tab, and now we're going to type in y2. Y2 is going to be cosecant of x minus
Sign
sine
of
of x. Clearly they are what?
X.
They're the same. So I'm going to hit menu. No, I'm not. I'm going to hit Control T for table.
Mine aren't the same. I don't know what I did wrong.
I'm going to hit Control T for table. And then you know what I'm going to do?
I hate cosine.
I'm going to hit menu, table. I'm going to edit my table settings. My table settings, where does it say to start here?
0.2.
0.2. So 0.2 is where I'm going to start. Then what's my increment?
0.2.
And then I'm going to hit OK. And then clearly you can tell that they're exactly the same decimals, right? You're going to write those down. That's it. You understand that? That's the table. So we've graphed it. We've done the table. Now what's the last thing we have to do?
Verify I have 3.
Do we have to actually write a graph out?
Now, no, you don't have to write. You don't have to draw the graph. But in order to get the table, you actually have to
I
graph.
just got those two.
So now, I need to set these things equal to each other. And prove the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pull this stuff apart. I'm going to pull and make this 1 over the secant of x times 1 over the tangent of x. What's 1 over secant? Page 340. What's 1 over secant? What is it? It's cosine. So I have the cosine of x times, what's 1 over tangent? Cotangent. Now what's cotangent equivalent to?
Cosine of sine.
Cosine over sine. Put it over 1. Marry the tops and marry the bottoms. So what's the top give you? Cosine squared of x over the sine of x. Well, go back to what you're looking for. What am I looking for? I'm looking for two things attached by subtraction, right? Some way, somehow, I gotta get subtraction of this thing. The only thing I can get subtraction out of is by getting rid of that cosine squared, right? Because the sine's not squared. All of my trigonometries are squared. So what is cosine squared equivalent to? 1 minus the sine squared. So we're going to substitute that in. So this is 1 minus the sine squared of x all over the sine of x.
Then you separate it and make it 1. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I know.
Not the only one.
Booker, what do we do now?
Separate it, make it 1 over time.
Make it in 2 fractions. Turn the 1 fraction into 2 fractions, right?
Cosecant.
I gotta wait for some people to catch up with me.
I'm actually looking at it.
Nope, slice.
Here's my English taught.
If I were you and I had a choice, I wouldn't be sitting here right
1
now.
over the sine of x minus sine squared of x over sine of x. What is 1 over sine of x? Cosecant. What happens to sine squared over sine?
It's one problem's the way we take it.
If the square root goes out, it's cosine.
My English grade is now 33.41 and 98.6.
Is that even possible?
That's
One question, how is
possible.
it even possible to get 33%?
Because I suck at school. I don't do my homework. All I need is 33% pass. though.
Are you lazy? Are you lazy?
Okay. Moving on. 19. Directions in the book for problems 19 and 20 say, in exercises 19 and 20, describe the error. Does it say to solve it? No, it doesn't say to solve it. It says to do what?
Describe the error.
Describe the error. Well, the way you describe an error is first by completing the problem yourself, going step by step. You doing a step and then comparing it to the other one. So, what's the first thing you would want to do in this problem? Look on page 340, please.
Write it down.
Make 1 plus tangent secant 3.
What?
Make 1 plus tangent of x secant squared.
It's not squared, no, is it, fucker? You can't do that.
Oh.
What'd you say, Steph? What is ugly in this problem?
The negative.
The negative, the cotangent of negative x is ugly, right?
Make it negative cosine.
Why are we making that negative cotangent of x?
Then it would be the cosine.
Because it's a co-function identity. The cotangent at negative x is the same thing as minus the cotangent of x. The cotangent at negative x is equivalent to negative cotangent of x on page 340. So now, I want you to go back to tonight's homework page, and I want you to compare your first step with their first step, which is on page 353.
They made it a positive.
They replaced cotangent of negative x with positive cotangent of x. Is that the correct co-function identity? No. So what do you tell me for their error?
They put a positive to the negative.
Co-function identity.
Co-function identity was not applied correctly.
Wouldn't that be the even odd identity? That would be the even odd identity.
Is it? So it's something like that? Correct?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Even odd identity. Was not applied correctly. Cotangent of negative x is equal to negative cotangent of x. That is their mistake. Do we all understand that?
So that's what you have to do for the
Yep, that's all you have to do for anything.
But in 20, it could be like a minus.
Could be.
No, it's not what.
What's up with you today? You guys pictures now?
Yep, yep, yep. Just dip my ankle.
We switched.
Yep. I just needed one little.
I'm a nurse.
18.
What?
18 is where there's the 3 steps. Step 1, graph it. Step 2, do the lovely little table. And step 3 is going to be what? Prove that the y1 is equal to y2. Okay, so let's do that. Now, what is 1 over sine of x? That's cosecant of x. What's 1 over cosecant of x? Sine of x. Is that what I wanted it to be? Yep, that was, wasn't it? Yeah, you're not done with that problem. Because I have extra time to help you do your homework. I can quit.
You know what? Can we do someone less than that?
After I do this next problem, I think you'll want me to do the next problem.
All I know is I want.
Okay. Yeah, no, you still have to cosecant of x minus 1 over 1 minus the sine of x is going to equal to the cosecant. I cannot manipulate the right-hand side. I can only manipulate the left-hand side. We all understand that. Okay, so what do I do?
Well,
Nothing squared, is that? Are they? Since nothing's squared, can I use any identities right now? No. So this leaves you with only one concept to do here, and that's to multiply this thing by a value of 1. Which means I want to eliminate my denominator. So how do I eliminate my denominator? I'm going to multiply by its what?
so, whatever.
Conjugate. What's the conjugate of 1 minus sine?
1 plus
1 plus the sine of x over 1 plus the sine of x. So if I'm multiplying by that, what we're going to do here is we're going to FOIL the tops and FOIL the bottoms. So that's going to be the cosecant of x plus the cosecant of x sine of x minus 1 minus the sine of x all over 1 minus sine squared of x. Well, the top and the bottom. Do we all see that, yes or no? Okay, now, what does cosecant and sine turn into? Cosecant is 1 over sine, but I'm multiplying it by sine. How do you guys all see it?
1.
All I did was substitute in what cosecant is in that particular place. Why?
1.
Because cosecant times sine cancel each other out and give you the value 1.
1 minus 1, 0.
So what I have here is a 1, and then I have 1 minus 1. Well, 1 minus 1 cancels out to be 0. Do we see that? Yes or no? 1 over sine times sine turns into 1, and I have 1 minus 1 combining like terms to give me 0.
So you're left with cosecant plus sine of x.
So now what am I left with? Is the cosecant of x minus the sine of x. And what is 1 minus sine squared of x? Cosine squared of x. Well, just like we had the trick previously with separating them, we're going to do that same trick now. So I'm going to have the cosecant of x over the cosine of x squared minus sine over cosine squared of x. Cosecant again? So this is going to be 1 over sine divided by the cosine squared of x minus sine squared or sine of x over cosine squared of x. When you divide, what are you actually doing? What? By the reciprocal. So this is actually going to be 1 over sine of x times 1 over the cosine of x, cosine squared x, minus sine of x over cosine squared of x. What do I do with those two fractions that are attached by multiplication? Nope. Marry the top, marry the bottom. So that's going to give me 1 sine of x cosine squared of x minus sine x cosine squared x. Now what do I need? Because those two fractions are attached by what? How are those two fractions attached? They're attached by subtraction. So what do I have to get? What is that common denominator? What is it? Sine cosine squared. that here, but I need to have another sign there, so that's going to give me sine squared of x. What is 1 minus sine squared x? Cosine squared x. Over sine x cosine squared x. And what happens if I cosine squared x? And I have 1 over the sine of x. And what is 1 over sine of x understood to be? That was so much fun. Huh? Sunny day, no clouds away. Okay, questions over last night's homework.
58.
Wait.
Questions
Yeah,
over
I just
last
need
night?
58, that's all I need.
58?
56, 58, and 64.
58, I heard. Immediately whenever I see this problem, I say two binomials. And that's not going to get anywhere. Secant squared of x minus tangent squared of x times secant squared of x plus tangent squared of x. What's secant squared? So every place I saw secant squared, I replaced it with what? 1 plus tangent squared. What's tangent squared minus tangent squared? That's gone. Now I have 1 times that jump. Does that 1 matter anymore? Nope. So this whole thing is gone now. Now over here I'm going to have 1 plus, how many tangent squares do I have? 2 tangent squares. Probably. That one's done. What's the other one?
56 over 64.
56. Okay, same thing, you're going to factor binomials. 1 and 1. I need a positive sign, but a negative 2, so that's minus, minus, sine squared of x, sine squared of x. What is 1 minus sine squared of x? It's what? Cosine squared. So I have cosine squared times cosine squared to give me cosine to the 4th.
Keep that for me.
You get it? Okay, you guys know what your homework is.